Yo, it's been an interesting couple of weeks since your people's been in the building, but we back in the place. Y'all know we got updates, right? We got a sponsor we're gonna be shouting out. We're trying to move things in a solid direction, and also we have to talk about the season of disappointment, and we got a new OC in DC. So we got a couple of things to discuss. Also, we're gonna talk about this during the show. But Chris Sims, keep my quarterback name out your mouth. He's already a better quarterback than you've ever been. So who are you to think that you can sit up and talk trash about a starting NFL quarterback who's been to the Super Bowl? When did you ever do that? Oh, Mr. Dan Orlovsky. I heard a couple things you'd have said too, and guess what? Ditto. Mr. Run out the back of the end zone. Stop the cap. Stop it. I don't normally say things to people, but sometimes it gets to be too much. No, Dan Orlovsky, he kind of take little sneak shots sometimes. But Chris Sims, he try to be open with it like it's whatever. You trash, you always been trash, and you always be trash as an announcer, as a player, as someone who covers the sport. There is nothing that you do well. Everybody on this show is better at doing this than you. And you played. But the only reason you're getting opportunities is because of your daddy. It's not because of anything you've done. So you need to sit down, keep my quarterback name out your mouth, and we're going to start the show. Why? What's going on, man?
Not too much, man. We had this little break here. You kind of, recap on the season, refresh a little bit. I'm not nearly as pissed off as we were going into the break. I've kind of settled with some things as of right now. We're on to bigger, better things, onto a fresh start with the franchise. I'm ready to get into season 3 here.
Diva in the building. What up?
What's going on, y'all? We back for another season. Was able to kind of clear our heads of that garbage season we had. So let's talk about the fresh start. Let's go.
So the first thing I know that we do every year or every show, first comment, what up? I don't know who it is. So I'm gonna need you to go to that. If I remember correctly, I think it's StreamYard.com/Facebook. Give StreamYard access or something I know we would like. If you just hop over to YouTube.com/Eagles Elite Podcast, we would love that so that we could see who we have.
Hit that like button and that subscribe button
and that share button. And we appreciate you hopping in. First comments is always the best. So as we do all the time around this piece, we know Wyatt gives us a couple of pieces of Eagles updates. So we ain't gonna stop that. So Wyatt, man, Eagles updates, what we got?
Yeah, I mean, one of the most recent updates here, we ended up voiding Marcus Mariota's contract, which leaves us about $3 million dead money. But Mariota is gone as of right now. We don't have to deal with any more Mariota. It's looking like we're not going to have to going forward either. We're looking for either a new backup QB, either a veteran, or we're going to be rolling with the other boy that we had. What was his name? I forget. I didn't have the depth chart pulled up.
Oh, dang. I forgot his name. Hold on.
He's not. We'll have to remember another quarterback. It ain't gonna be him. He hasn't had enough.
Tanner McKee.
Seasoning. Yeah, McKee hasn't had enough seasoning. We definitely need to be in the market for a veteran backup. We'll get to that when we're talking about a few things.
That was one thing we were all kind of dreading over the course of the season. It's like, what if we have to see Mariota? And luckily, we didn't have to see it very much, if at all. But I'm glad he's off the books because after the way he looked in preseason and then like the minimum action he had during the regular season, he ain't it.
Well, I'm glad we dodged that bullet twice.
Coach Dante, what up, Coach Dante?
What up, Coach?
With us. Yeah, we definitely dodged that, man. So, Wyatt, any other news you have there to report on?
Yeah, we ended up signing a running back of all players as of right now. We ended up signing the 49ers third-round running back, Tyrion Davis-Price. I don't really know too much.
Another 49ers running back to not use and then cut.
Possibly chilling on the practice squad. There's no word on any of the other running backs that are currently either on the roster or free agents for us as of right now, like DeAndre Swift.
Of course not. If I recall, we did sign a right tackle as well.
Mhm.
I don't know if I saw that one. I might have missed that one.
Yeah,
You got
we
the
signed
update
a
on that one. Cool.
yes, sir. We signed a right tackle, um, formerly of the Kansas City Chiefs. The fringe player. He's big guy, but he's quick, got good agility. But best case scenario, long-term project. Um, he'll be on the 90-man to start, but we'll see if he can crack the 53 or even make the practice squad. So it's not a lot of quality signings happening yet because we haven't gotten to a period where you can even talk to free agents. So a lot of
Mhm.
it's just posturing, getting guys that may be able to be a long-term project or things like that. But in just a couple of weeks here, our cornerback room is going to improve, and we don't have to go sign anybody because one Isaiah Rodgers will now be available to be a part of the active roster once the new year starts. Looking forward to him hopping on. People want to pigeonhole him into being a slot corner. He's not. I think we're going to have some turnover on the back end of the defense, especially Bradbury. I think we're going to move on from, which will get some opportunities. I'll give some thoughts that I have on what the Eagles should do as we're going through the different pieces of who should leave, who should go, all that good stuff. So, Wyatt, any other Eagles updates that you have for us?
Yeah, I got a couple other things. The Eagles are going to be playing the first NFL game in Brazil, and it's going to be week 1 on a Friday night. We got a Friday night game to start the season off. Going to be in Brazil. They sent us all the way to South America. It's going to be interesting, man. I'm kind of glad it's the first week and not like right in the middle of the season or anything. But I mean, it's pretty cool to see the NFL kind of branching out to different areas.
I don't like it.
I don't either. I don't either. I don't like it at all.
You just
Me
don't
neither.
like it for like the travel as far as like sending the players like on a huge road game and then back.
I don't like your first game of the season on a Friday night in another country.
Right.
Yeah.
Not a
that makes
Saturday.
sense.
Not a
But
Sunday.
a Friday.
Not a Monday, a Friday. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I think us and
Stadium you're
whoever we play are
unfamiliar
both
with.
being set up to fail.
And
not
never
trash
playing
game.
there either. Like, you don't even know the atmosphere. None of that. The weather, none of that. None.
Yeah, it's definitely not an optimal situation. I personally think, but hey, it is what it is. I guess we should thank the NFL that they're giving us the opportunity. And if I recall, isn't this going to be one of our home games, quote unquote?
Yeah, it's considered a home game. That's what a lot of fans are pissed off about, like either like season ticket holders and whatnot. Like we're losing a home game because of this.
Right. If not, we got to go to Brazil. And that's probably going to be expensive to travel to Brazil
Super expensive. Yeah.
and back.
And here's the problem: it's Brazil. Okay, so we have to be concerned with our players, our fans, the coaches, everybody not having too much fun in Brazil. This is Brazil, right? This is one of the party capitals of the world. All night parties, every night. It's hard to stay focused in places like this. Come on, NFL. But it is what it is. It's done. There is no complaining that's going to change things. So that's what it is. Any other news, sir?
Yeah, the last one kind of go in here because all the other news is like a bunch about the different coaching signings and whatnot. This one is just we're keeping one of our coaches going forward as of right now. Michael Clay, special teams coordinator. We signed him to a contract extension. You know, we talked some mad shit on the dude a couple years back during that Super Bowl season because we had a reason to. Special teams were absolute trash during that whole season. And then this past season, we didn't really have to talk about him at all because everything else was trash. So, I mean, it seems like he's kind of figuring out the special teams a little bit. So, I'm fine with the signing as of now. But if it starts kind of regressing going into the next season, or like we gotta have to look at another special teams coach eventually. But I mean, he seems like he's on the good side of the owner and the GM as of right now.
Yep, and then of course Jeff Stoutland's staying, so that's good.
Oh yeah,
we're not going to talk about all the individuals right now, but I will say that Stay tuned. It's going to be a lot happening. Definitely going to be a lot.
A lot.
Stay tuned. All right. So we're going to get into something that's going to take a lot of our time today. And that's going to be the season of disappointment. So I can't speak for my co-host. I can, but I won't. Let's say that. But last season was a season with a lot of promise and no delivery. This should have been a season where we were getting back to where we were, if not going further. And instead, we took a huge, gigantic, ginormous, gargantuan step backwards. But we're here to talk about it, right? And not in an angry way, but break down what happened, what went wrong. And then we're going to go through some different things to figure out ways to correct possibly some of the issues that we had. Like I said, we can't go back and change time, but we can ensure that we at least talk about what we feel like could improve things. So, first thing is, and Diva, will start with you on this one. In your opinion, season as a whole, what went wrong?
It was coaching. For most part of it was coaching, and then after a while, the players just gave up because they didn't believe in the plan that they were selling them. So all that goes on both sides of the ball. I mean, you change a defensive coordinator in the middle of the season. The other one had no plan. Nick Sirianni absolutely had no idea of what he was doing. He was just out there on the sideline calling whatever. And, we don't know what Brian Johnson really was capable of because he really didn't have a chance to call anything. And it was just a disaster on both ends of the ball. Like, when you have no leadership when it comes to your coaching, then how do you expect your players to feel like they can lead a team when they don't have upper management leading them, especially in positions to catch the ball or positions to make good defensive plays? We had none of that on either side of the ball. And so the players just basically gave up. Bodies was out there, but mentally they were not there, period. After a while, like AJ said, it bled so much that he bled out. So that's a lot. That says a lot when a player says that basically, we couldn't stop the bleeding and it just bled us dry, all of us. So that was what happened. Disaster on both ends of the ball.
All right, what are your thoughts on what went wrong?
Yeah, I mean, exactly what Diva was saying. It all comes down to the coaching. And I mean, a lot of people want to point fingers at, either Jalen Hurts not, being up to, the contract that he signed and everything. But I mean, the quarterback's only as good as the scheme that he's running, and they just were not able to do anything to help him out, whether it's just not scheming people open at all, not running the ball, not coming up with any sort of plan to stop or counter the blitzes that are coming at them week in and week out, because that's what every single team was doing since the beginning of the season. And they had no answers for it whatsoever. And then like Diva even said, like you not even fire, but remove the defensive coordinator, Sean Desai, in the middle of the season. That doesn't give off a lot of confidence. It kind of lowers the morale, especially for the defense there, where even up to the point before Desai was removed, yeah, we were giving up a lot of yards, but he was still adjusting in the second half of these games. A lot of these games, especially in that big stretch we had against like the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Bills, they were scoring very minimal points in the second half of these games because he was adjusting. But because we were giving up so many third downs, they wanted to remove him and try to see what Matt Patricia was able to do, which was absolutely nothing. He wasn't adjusting to anything. It was even worse than it was before. It seemed like none of these players even wanted to play for Patricia at that point. You had Hassan Reddick, amongst others, dropping back into coverage way more than they ever have before. It's just a lot of, it was like pretty much the snowball effect. Once things started going wrong, everything started going wrong by the end of it. And then it just seems like you lost morale. And now you have this point in the off season where rumors are happening like every single week. Like, oh, it was this. Oh, it was Jalen. Oh, it was Big Dom's not on the sideline to control Sirianni. And now Sirianni's yelling at people, coaches and players and shit. And it's like, if you need to have a dude there to hold your coach in check, something's not right. Like you may need to get a new coach or find someone in there that can control the locker room. It just seemed like whatever could happen did happen at the end of towards the end of that back half of the season here. And I mean, even though we all saw the writing on the wall, even in game 1 of the season against the Patriots. We all saw it throughout the season. We all still kind of was hoping that they would kind of somewhat figure it out. Try to look at yourself in the mirror, try to correct the things that were going wrong, like they were saying they were going to do week in and week out. But then every week after, it's just more of the same and nothing changed. And that was the downfall. You have a coach that says that he knows an offense, it's his offense, but you're not doing anything to change it or make it interesting and doing anything to correct all the issues that you had throughout the whole season. It blows my mind that you can just be that bad at your job, like that incompetent at your job. I mean, there was a lot to fix. And I mean, that's why, like we're going to talk about here in a bit, like that's why Sirianni pretty much lost all control as far as the offense and what he's just a head coach in title at this point, it seems.
Basically.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, in my opinion, went wrong. The last offseason went wrong. We weren't set up to be successful. If you're not set up to be successful, you won't be successful. We had hope. We said, hey, we've got coordinators that they don't have experience, but hopefully they'll come in and build off of what was done before. Hopefully they'll be able to run their side of the ball. We got the receipts. We said that last offseason. It's not what happened. Defensive coordinator, who in my opinion did the best, because he had the least, but he still made it work. Injuries were a part of it. Anybody who doesn't want to agree with that, I really don't care what you have to say. Straight up, I just don't care what you have to say. Injuries always play a part when you lose key pieces. Our quarterback for the defense injured early in the season, came back, was able to play a game or two, injured again. So, you had that. You had a head coach who couldn't be a head coach. You had a guy who was supposed to be able to manage both sides of the ball, help his young coordinators, and he proved that he's nothing but a rah-rah guy. He's all talking T-shirts and tight pants. That's what he proved. It just, there was no infrastructure, and there was nothing in place in case that the infrastructure needed to be upheld, right? Frank Wright was out there that could have been brought in, I feel like, as a special counsel type situation. Right? I'm taking it to the world of professional wrestling, so I want to make sure I say that and not the technical term is as special counsel is what he should have been brought in as. This guy that had head coaching experience with the offense, had gained some trust with the front office, so a guy that they would have listened to, possibly a guy that maybe could have bridged the gap and kind of helped us get back on track. But we didn't do any of those things. We stayed complacent. The other thing that happened to us was winning those games early. As our coach said, the guy that doesn't know how to coach, we're winning. So why is everybody complaining? We're winning. But then when we didn't win and he didn't have that as something to lean back on anymore, we weren't really getting a lot from him, which is disappointing. Leaders should lead. If you're going to be a head coach in the NFL, you should be able to lead your team. That should be the minimum expectation. Nick Sirianni can't do that.
No.
And that is the main problem. All right. So we got that out. Tough to go over these things, guys. Still kind of fresh, right? But not as bad as it was, but still kind of fresh. Still burns a little bit. Still, still not pleasant. But it is what it is. So we've discussed that. First off, what's up?
What's going on?
My man Vic, always in the building. We appreciate that, Vic, man. Love to have you hop in, talk with us every week. So, who should stay, who should go from our free agent list, right? And obviously, numbers and everything is one thing, but we're just talking from strictly the standpoint of players.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so free agents. We're gonna go from top to bottom of the list, just like they're on this piece on this list here on Sports Track. So this is not my list, not my order to Sport Track. All right, so Jason Kelsey, guys, should he stay or should he go?
If he wants to
Yeah.
stay, absolutely stay.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
100%. If he doesn't want to retire, 100% keep him. I know they sent him a keg last year, sent him 2 kegs this year.
Yeah, I think we should keep him one more year. Let him get some get the young boys experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Side note, his wife, I think it's Brittany, Jackie. I forgot his wife's name, but Jason
No, I
Kelsey's
think
wife.
it's Kaylee, I think.
Kaylee,
Yes, it's
Kaylee
Kaylee Kelsey. I would like to shout out Kaylee Kelsey.
True Eagles fan.
Kaylee Kelsey
True.
is the biggest Eagles fan in that house.
Mm-hmm. She
And
kept it
that's
100.
with her husband playing for the team. Super Bowl, she would not wear Chiefs gear. She said she's not a Chiefs fan, she's an Eagles fan. So she didn't wear Eagles stuff either. She wore,
Cincinnati.
neutral things. Yeah, she wore something neutral her college team.
Mm-hmm.
Casey, you're a real one.
She also
All right,
said that
next.
if Travis ever played for another team, she would still wear Eagles gear. She would never wear nothing else.
She did. And I appreciate that because Jason, he wavered a little bit on us. You know what I'm saying? He wavered on us. But it's okay if he come back and play. But Casey, well played. You the real one. All right, next guy, Fletcher Cox. What do you guys think? Fletcher Cox, there you go.
I mean, Fletcher played pretty good last year. He had a really good year last year. I mean, if he wants one more year, I say give it to him.
All right, what about you?
Yeah.
What you think?
Yeah, I think he had a better season this past season than he did on the Super Bowl run. So, I mean, if he wants to come back, I would definitely be cool with him coming back. It's just as far as like how much money it's going to take to bring him back, for a veteran like that.
I agree we should keep both of these first two guys. So Kelsey definitely, if he wants to stay, if he wants to play again, definitely want to be with us. But if he doesn't, I can understand that as well. Fletcher Cox, I would say definitely bring him back in a rotational role for less money, but give him another opportunity, because this could be the year we get some other pieces in. These young guys have had a year or so in the system. This could be a year, some magical cap. We never know.
Yeah, you can tell how much effect that Fletch had on like Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter this season, like how much they talk and gloat about how much Fletch has been help to them as far as like in practice and during games and such.
Yeah. All right, the next one we actually don't have to go over because he's gonna go, and that's Marcus Mariota. So we'll move on. DeAndre Swift, she's stay or go.
Stay,
100% stay. Bring this dude back. He had over 1,000 yards and he barely used them.
100%. He should stay, but it's up to the front, but he should stay. Boston Scott.
I would keep Boston and just rotate him out. But y'all already know how I feel about the other one. But yeah, I would definitely keep Boston Scott.
He's not a free agent, so he's not on this list.
Good.
Yeah, I agree. I keep Boston Scott as well.
Yeah, I would too. I think he's going to be cheap, good rotational piece, as long as they use him.
Right. That part.
Well, actually, Diva, that's bad because the other one's not on this list, which means he's not a free agent. Zach Cunningham.
He can go.
Yeah, he can go.
I agree. Justin Evans.
Damn, he a free agent already?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we barely got to see any of them. I would be okay with bringing him back.
I say
just as like a depth piece.
Yeah, I say he can go because I'm trying to think of when did I ever hear his name, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we didn't really at all.
Shaquille Leonard.
He can go.
Nah, let him go.
If it's $1 million or less, I say stay. If he wants more than $1 million, he gotta go. $1 million or less, I keep him as a depth piece. Situational player, that type of thing. It's only 28. But other than that, I let him go. So I'm gonna just say Sua Opeta because his name is I.O. Sua. I don't know if it's Osua or whatever, but I'm just going to say Sua Opeta. Stare go.
He can go.
Yeah, it can go either way with this one. It's really how much Jeff Stoutland values him on the line, I guess.
Philly, what up? What up?
What up, Philly?
We was waiting on you. Knew you was coming.
I mean, he wasn't terrible, I think, in the one game that he had to start. He ended up getting hurt, I'm pretty sure, in that same game, though.
I would keep Sua because he understands what Stoutland wants. He's only 27, so he's a guy that maybe you can have as a guy that you can play on both sides at the guard position. And I always want to keep depth and guys that, make things happen because you always need linemen. You always need linemen. Those guys always get hurt. So I would say keep him, but you can draft guys too. So it could go either way.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer for the next one, but I'm going to ask anyway. Rashad Penny.
I mean, I would have kept him, but we never saw him. I mean, the few times that we did see him, I felt like he's a good power back if we would have used him the right way. But you never saw him, which was pointless. I mean, I would say keep him, but they don't. You don't know if he's going to be used. It could go either way.
That man made the easiest money he ever made this year. Let him go.
I would say let him go too, just because he is a power back, but we could find another guy to pay a little bit of money to be a power back, or maybe even draft a guy. He can't block. Rashad Penny cannot block.
He can't do that.
Yeah.
All right. Olamide Zaccheaus.
I say keep him, but they're probably gonna let him go.
Yeah, I would definitely be down to bring Zaccheaus in. He made some really good plays this year, and he was definitely underused when they should have been using him in certain games. But he had a lot of great plays, and he showed that he can ball. But
I would want to keep him as well.
Yeah,
yeah.
But they wanted to use somebody else over him for some strange reason.
No comment there. Albert O.
Gots to go.
Let him go.
Can go, Albert O. Gotta go.
Albert O. Gotta go.
And I know this is another easy one. But I'm go through the list. Nicholas Morrow.
You can go.
Out, ski. Gone.
Deuces.
You're
All right.
terrible.
Trace Juice. Braden Mann.
Keep him.
Definitely keep
We need
him.
a solid punter, and he actually did really well for us this year, I think.
He really did. And he didn't get hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
He was available.
True facts.
Jack Driscoll.
I don't know.
Yeah. Part of me wants to say, yeah, I would keep Sua Opeta over Jack Driscoll.
Right.
I don't know, man. For some reason, I'm just not a fan of Jack Driscoll.
No, I'm not either.
I would let him go.
I mean, he made under $1 million last year. I wouldn't mind if he's at least on the 90 man, and we see if he can get a spot. But Sean Bradley.
Ooh,
Bingo.
Yeah, you can go.
I'm gonna go with him too. And I'm not even gonna ask you guys about this one. I'm just gonna say this next person. This is a round tape around. Everybody wants this person gone, and that's Quez Watkins. Deuces will not
pack
offer
his
this
bags
dude
myself.
$5.06 or nothing. Get him out of here.
Out.
Get him out.
It's a bum. And
Mr. I always bet on myself.
Well, bet on yourself now. Go get paid somewhere else. Jack Stoll.
I'm kind of in between.
And to put in
Jack
context,
Stoll.
he made $815,000 last year, so he did not cost us a lot.
Yeah.
But we didn't even see him though. Besides like 3 plays, maybe.
Well, he blocked. Well, he was the blocking tight end. So you got to have the guy that blocks. You know what I'm saying? You got to have the guy that blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Calcaterra don't block.
And
Albert
Calcaterra's
Trash
always
never
hurt,
blocked
too.
anybody. Calcaterra's always hurt. He had like 80 concussions. And then we know the starter gonna be hurt.
Dallas. Yeah, Dallas is gonna be hurt.
Yeah.
Dallas. He gets banged up for a few games every year. So I would say
Yeah, I'd be okay
Stoll
with Jack
maybe
Stoll.
as your number 3 tight end, cut Calcaterra, and then bring in another guy that can catch as well as block. I mean, Stoll can, but he doesn't get a lot of opportunities.
No.
In my personal humble opinion.
Yeah, I would keep him though.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, are the people that we have left. Well, who should stay, who should go, I should say. Those are the people that, that have the ability to stay or go. All right. What can a team do to help Jalen Hurts get back to MVP form?
First of all, have a OC that knows how to call plays, that knows how to set him up in positions where he can make plays, and teach him how to read a blitz. For some reason, he forgot how to read the blitz. Yeah, and work on his mechanics a little bit, especially throwing the ball, so we don't have as many turnovers. I don't know what happened with that this year. My boy had way too many turnovers. So he needs to go back to working on making sure he's not over or under throwing the ball or forcing the ball in areas. I think he needs to work on scanning the field a lot better because he did not scan the field this year like he should have at all. Most important, I just think that he needs more of a leadership like he got from Steichen. That's what he just needs, great leadership that can lead him and know how to use his abilities, because the coaching staff we had this go around did not understand his abilities and it made him regress. And so he definitely has to have a coach that understands his abilities to put him in those good positions. That's what I think.
What about you,
Absolutely. You need a competent OC that knows how to call plays, knows how to design plays to scheme wide receivers open, give him more than just 1 or 2 reads per play. Have Jalen under center, run out of RPO if you need to. I don't want to see a ton of shotgun like we saw this past season. I know that we may get some of that with the offensive coordinator we brought in, but I would like to see us running like RPOs a lot more. It seemed like he kind of thrived under that system a little bit. And just figure out what's going on. Like, is he healthy going into this next season? Is he going to need surgery or whatever? Because this dude was not running the same as he was that Super Bowl season either. We need him back to true form, running, if not develop plays and whatnot, so we can keep him under center if you don't want him running as much. I don't know. We just need a competent offensive coordinator that knows how to draw up plays, because we just did not have that last year. We were just running the same 6 plays every single time. You were running, deep routes and just hoping somebody can get open. You're running screen plays. Enough with the screen plays. I don't want to see them anymore. We just need to have some consistency on offense. Run the ball, which that would definitely help out Jalen in the long run as well. Use your running backs. We were barely doing that each game. And use some motion as well. I know Nick Sirianni like to make fun of how many people ask him about using motion and whatnot in the offense. Well, it works. You've seen it with all the teams that were going deep in the playoff. It works. So, the NFL is a copycat league. So, look at what the other teams are doing as well. And also look back at what made this team great in the Super Bowl season. Copy yourselves if you have to, in a way. Like, get back to what actually worked, like Diva was saying. And because we just went completely away from that to do exactly what Nick Sirianni wanted to do to make himself look good. And it made himself look 10 times worse.
Stupid, actually.
Yep. So in the building, Stu, what's going on?
What's going on?
And he also says, yes, he got his yak. So, for me, it's really simple. Give him a pocket, number one. give him the run game. Don't attempt to run the ball so much with him. Allow him to pick his own spots when he wants to run.
Yeah, that was another one. Stop the QB draws. Jesus.
And the biggest part of all this, I'm gonna tell you one thing that we did not think about the season. I didn't think about until after the season when we had this time off for me to kind of think. He needs a veteran guy that has some mobility, right? But can throw. Because Marcus Mariota, mobility all day, no type of ability to throw.
Nah.
So, a guy like Jacoby Brissett is a name that popped up. Tyrod Taylor, a guy that if you need them to come in for a game or two or a half or two, or, something happens, Jalen needs to get taped up or whatever, anything happens, that can come in and maintain things, but still can help him see what he needs to see, read what he needs to read. And also, he needs to go back to his quarterback coach that he had a year before and work on his mechanics. His mechanics got bad last year. I believe that he was injured, not surgery needed, but an injury that he didn't want to take time off for because he understood the team couldn't win without him, even though we wouldn't win with him either at the end of the season. So I think that health is a big part too. So I think if he's healthy, I think if he gets the right backup to help, and he gets those mechanics back together, being healthy helps with that, then I think we're going to see a re-emergence of Jalen Hurts. I think last year, injuries, too many QB draws, not enough complexity in the offense, too much. Make this read, make that read, or go deep, right? And not let's run routes, let's give plays time to happen and timing. So one thing we left alone last year was timing routes. We had no timing routes last year. We had no 3-second drop, no 3-step drop, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. This is where the ball is going to go. If the person gets there, they gets there. If they don't, they don't. But that's not on the quarterback if he's putting it where it's supposed to go. We completely
didn't run the ball
from the offense. So if we bring those things back, that's going to help Jalen Hurts be the quarterback that we saw in that MVP caliber season. So a lot of it's going to depend on Kellen Moore. But what the team can do without knowing how Kellen Moore is going to coach, these are things that, we all feel like they could do to help, Jalen Hurts. So 2 particular guys from last year that I want to talk about our thoughts on their season. And that's Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, our young defensive tackles / ends. So Wyatt, this one will start with you. What are your thoughts on Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter performances last season?
Jordan Davis, I think he gets a little too much hate. I know people were kind of saying like he needs to like put on some more muscle and lose some weight, this and that. I saw a man that was out there, chasing down Josh Allen on a run. And I know this dude can do it. I just think you just kind of need a little bit more depth on that defensive line, because he's not a dude that's going to be going out there getting you sacks all the time. He's going to be filling those gaps. He's there to help stop the run and whatnot. Jalen Carter, I think, played absolutely fantastic for most of the season, but you can definitely tell there was that drop off where, he was just starting to get gassed. This is his first time playing 17 games in a season or whatnot. This is kind of expected, but you didn't expect to see that kind of drop off with that kind of player and what he was doing through like those first half of the season. But I mean, I think he played really well. I definitely think he was up there as probably one of the top like defensive rookies of the whole season. He was making some pretty big plays for a player like that. I'm excited to see what he can do going forward, but I mean, it was a good starting point for someone that had a lot of hype going into the season.
All right. David, what are your thoughts on Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter?
I think they had an outstanding first half of the year. Of course, they both fell off because I think people forget to realize there was no depth, so they couldn't rotate out, and that's big. You need depth, and the year before that, we had depth. Jordan Davis is not used to playing that much, especially coming in, and so I think he did very well for as long as he did. And the fact that he didn't have depth is what tired both of them out. Like, you can't have them. I think they were playing like 70 some snaps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot. Like, you go out there and play that and see how well you're going to be performing each week. Like, come on now. And then eventually they probably just lost interest. I mean, the defense wasn't doing anything anyway, so they probably just like, forget it. Like, we're not going to get out here and get hurt. We ain't doing that no way. So I didn't like the fact that I kept hearing about Jordan Davis being so fat. And I mean, it looked like he did put on a few more pounds than normal at the tailing off of the season. But I mean, still, like, the dude still can run like what, a 6 something. Like, dude is fast, period. I don't care how big he is, he's fast. He was fast when he came in. That's the reason why we drafted him. And he clogged up the hole a lot, and he did a lot that I think a lot of people undervalued from Jordan Davis. Jalen Carter, you can't say enough about him. I mean, he was a rookie and came in there and got defensive rookie of the year, or close to it. So I mean, what can you really say about those boys? You can't expect them to sit there and play every game, every snap, the whole game for 4 quarters and think that they're just going to be flying everywhere and blocking the middle the whole time. So I didn't appreciate the slack that especially Jordan Davis got. Like, I'm a huge Jordan Davis fan. And then the fact that, a lot of people always said that he wouldn't be anything anyway, just like they said Smitty wasn't going to be anything. So, yeah, I expect to see him coming out this year now that we got Vic Fangio. As long as we get depth, I think he'll be fine. He probably has to do a little more of working out on the off season just so he can make sure he's in shape. But he's not going to be a small dude. He's just not built to be small. And there's nothing wrong with that. So leave the boy alone. He's going to be fine. Get off my boy's back.
So here's the thing that you have to remember with these heavier defensive tackles and these bigger guys. They work in the offseason. They trim down, right? Throughout the season, they don't have those same opportunities because you have the weeks going. You have your bye weeks, so you can get a little bit during there. But they may put on a pound or two, right? But at the end of the day, you look back to rookie year Jordan Davis and Jordan Davis last year and the transformation that you saw in him. Don't forget that, right? Mm-hmm. And keep in mind, year 1, he was injured and missed a big chunk of the season. So now you're bringing a guy in. He's playing his first full season. That can be trying on your body because it's a big adjustment from playing 12, 13 games of college to playing 17 games in the NFL, include the playoff game. Well, before the playoff game and then the playoff game 18. So I think for Jordan Davis, especially, conditioning, but that's something that comes with time. He's played a lot more than he ever played in college, as far as percentage of games, as far as length of time he's in a game and amount of games. Same thing with Jalen Carter. Comes out hot. He shows you who he could do against some really good offensive lines, but then you always hit a wall. You're going to hit the rookie wall, or if you're second-year guy and you didn't play the entirety of the rookie season, you hit that wall. They hit that wall, and it came a little earlier than most people expected because depth. We weren't rotating people out as we were in previous years. And I refuse to believe that losing Javon Hargrave made that much of a difference. There was other guys on his team, but they weren't used. Hopefully, and looks like we're going to be switching to 3-4. Excuse me, because that's the new coordinator's defense of choice. So that's going to bring about some changes to what we do, who we have, and those sorts of things, because we're going to, be switching philosophies. But there's always going to be a place for big, strong bulls who can crush the line and who can hog up the middle. We're not going to see a lot of sats and things from Jordan Davis and nose tackle, especially if we go to 3-4. What we're going to see is him clogging that middle, him ensuring that guys are not getting up those inside lanes, that he's there to stop. He's there to plug those. He's there to make those difficult and make them bounce out from those lanes. It's going to be different. So I want people to understand that. It's going to be different based on everything we know about Vic Fangio. It's going to be different. But still going to be the Eagles. We need to improve that back end so that these guys can attack fast and know that, hey, if I get beat, if I'm attacking the quarterback and it happens to be a play action or a run play and a guy gets by me, the guy behind me is going to actually tackle him. That helps as well. So there's a lot that can help them perform better next year. I'm not making excuses. They both did gas out. So you're going to have to work on that conditioning, understanding where you need to be, maybe take a little bit better care of your body every week so that you can go a little bit further. But these are guys who are going to be integral pieces of this team being successful. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a lot put on their shoulders, whether guys like Cox and Brandon Graham come back or not. going to be a lot put on their shoulders. So they have to be prepared for that. I think they will be. But a lot of, as Diva said, a lot of unnecessary negativity placed on these two gentlemen. They're young, they're developing, they're learning, they're going to be better. You can't expect every guy to come out, especially when the coaches don't even know what's going on. The players don't even understand what they're supposed to be doing. Everybody's confused. And I think Diva may be right in saying that they might have just said, you know what, man? Screw this. I'm packing it in. We ain't going nowhere.
We're also talking about a defense that was out on the field more than the offense in most of these games in the back half of the season. They were getting worked. They were worked. They were playing so much time in that back half of the season. It's crazy.
Yep. So, guys, are there any? So, I got a couple of young guys to see if you guys think they should play more. Should they be cut? Should they go into the practice squad? So, I'm going to skip over guys like Reed Blankenship, Sidney Brown, because we know what we think about those guys. All right, one of those guys we jump on. I consider young guys 3 years or less experience. So Grant Calcaterra. How you guys feel about Grant Calcaterra? Should he play more? Should he be benched? Should he be cut? What do you guys think about him? Keep in mind, still on his rookie deal.
Yeah, I mean,
that matters to you.
You can't make an excuse for him to play more. I mean, I'm cool with him being on the bench, but dude, he just can't stay healthy. You got all them concussions.
We can't.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't keep him over Jack Stoll, like we were talking about before. So I mean, I would be fine with moving on from him.
Yeah, okay. I mean, he can't stay healthy unless you use him as a rotation. I mean, but as far as having a starting position, nah. So yeah, because he's still a rookie.
What's his name? Tyree Jackson, or the last tight end we let go that kept having like back issues. I would have kept him over Calcaterra.
All right, so another going to his third-year player, Josh Jobe.
Bye. He didn't get enough criticism. Like, people just act like the boy was just bye.
Yeah. They had all the excuses in the world for Josh Jobe, but not anybody else out on the team.
Listen.
Gone. Vic Fangio need to look at this dude and say, you serious? You want him on the roster? No. Out. Get him out of here.
I'm going to say practice squad for us. Practice squad him.
Oh, they probably will. They're not going to let him go, I'm sure.
All right, Tanner McKee.
I'd
keep him. I think he showed enough promise. Well, obviously we didn't see him in the season, but he showed some promise in the preseason. I mean, it is preseason, but he played all right.
Moro Ojomo.
Did he even play?
He played a little bit. I think he had a couple sacks, didn't he? He had a couple big plays this season. I would have him definitely as a rotational piece.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to just go ahead and put both of these guys together. Eli Ricks, Keely Ringo.
Keep. Definitely
yes.
keep.
Yes and yes.
Do you think they should play more, play less?
I think they should play more.
Yeah.
More.
Right.
Yeah, especially like even if you get rid of Bradbury, even if you keep Slay, you're going to have to keep rotating them out. Slay can't be out there all the time at this point in his career.
Ben Van Summeren.
I'm trying to think what he did this. I think he had a couple big plays from what I remember too. He wasn't.
He had
he
a
didn't
couple
play too much.
He didn't play a lot, but do you think he's a guy that we should give more minutes to? Should he practice squad him? Should he be on the active roster? Like, what? How do you feel about what he may be able to help the team with moving forward?
I think he could be an asset if they play him more. Like, the problem is a lot of these guys we didn't see enough, so we really don't know what to say because we didn't see him enough.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that was a lot of your argument. The season was like we should have been kind of integrating these guys into the defense throughout the season instead of just when, oh yeah, we need you right now.
And two other guys that I think you're definitely going to want to keep. Do you think they should play more or less, or how do you feel about them? And that's going to be Nolan Smith and Tyler Steen.
Definitely keep Tyler Steen. Nolan Smith definitely needs to play a lot more. I don't know why we did not play that boy more. I mean, because to me, he could have been a big help with Hassan Reddick, instead of Hassan Reddick being the only one out there coming off the edge. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like Tyler
same.
Steen a lot.
Yeah, play Nolan Smith more. I definitely would like to see Tyler Steen also in there. I don't know if they're going to have him as the starting right guard, but I would definitely. I'm fine with having him on the active roster.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And our last question. All right. And this has its own separate thing here. We have a new OC. We have a new DC. Diva has to go first because I just saw that face. What are your thoughts on Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio?
So Vic Fangio, I'm gonna give him a chance. As we know, Philadelphia Eagles have modeled his style of play for years and years and years. As you know, Desai was up under Vic Fangio in Chicago. So with actually having the blueprint and not actually having the real thing and not just blueprints, I'm really not a fan of the bend but don't break because that hasn't got anywhere. I'm used to the go hard defense that we had back in Malcolm Jenkins days and Brian Dawkins days. But I'm gonna give him a chance. I mean, Miami wasn't too bad last year. They did have a lot of injuries. I don't know what happened when they played us, but they kind of fell off a lot. But they did have injuries. But I'm gonna see because, like I said, I'm not a fan of the bend but don't break, and that's how he runs. He runs his defense bend but don't break. You don't give up big plays, but you also don't go for the big hits either, which is stupid in my opinion because that's the point of football. But I'm gonna give him a chance, see what he do, and hopefully, I know it will look better than we did last year. I know that. But the thing is how we're gonna go get him what he needs for his defense. Because he's gonna need some linebackers. We need them. We definitely got to fix that secondary because it was garbage, trash juice. Kellen Moore, I'm not a fan because he was a Dallas Cowboy. He played for them and he coached for them. Okay, so I'm not a fan about that. But what I did see when he coached for them, that he did run the ball. Zeke did do good when Kellen Moore was there, and Pollard did good when he was there. So, I mean Gallup or Pollard, one of them. But anyway, and I think he did all right last year with the Chargers, but they did have a lot of injuries as well. So we'll have to see. It's more of a wait and see. Depends on how well he gels with Jalen, if he can actually use Jalen's talents. And use Jalen in a way that we know Jalen is needed, which is, a runner and a passer. But it's just a wait and see. I don't know. I don't know. It's just, we don't know. We're back at that. We don't know. I hope for the best. But you never know what could happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not a fan of the, bend don't break defenses, but at least we brought the guy in, the architect of it all, it seems. And at least he'll, like Diva was saying, he's gonna make the team kind of make those adjustments where we were kind of not looking at before, as far as like linebackers and like safeties and whatnot. We should be going out and getting guys that can do that. Because like we saw in the playoffs, linebackers make the difference. Whether you're watching San Fran or Kansas City or any of these other teams, Baltimore linebackers make the difference. And we need to go out and and same with the Super Bowl season. We had good linebackers. Just for some reason, we didn't decide to keep one or two of them for some reason. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of the bend don't break defense, but I think he can I think he will be able to come in and do something decent for the squad. Kellen Moore, on the other hand, yeah, it never works out bringing Cowboys into the fold. I don't like whether it's players or whatnot. For some reason, it never goes well. But I'm happy that the Eagles actually went out and decided to get experienced offense and defensive coordinators instead of going with like unknown guys or guys that haven't been in those positions before, because usually that's what they go for. But Kellen Moore, I mean, he has had some good seasons with Dallas as the offensive coordinator. Now that we did have that one season where Dak had like the most interceptions in the league. So, I mean, is that on the offense or is that on, the quarterback just being trash at that point in time? I don't know. That remains to be seen. And we can't really kind of judge them off of that Chargers team because, like Diva said, they were hurt. They were missing without their quarterback for most of the damn season, I'm pretty sure. And I mean, they ended up, cleaning house anyway. So he wasn't going to be sticking around. I don't know. I think his brand of offense, I think it can work. I think he can utilize a lot of these players and, play to their strengths. Hopefully he can do that with Jalen because that's the biggest question mark is can he get Jalen back to that Super Bowl season? I think he can because we've seen what he can do. Obviously, we didn't see what he could do with Herbert too much last year with the Chargers, but we saw that the Cowboys were decent with him as the offensive coordinator. It's just a matter of will Nick actually not interfere like they're saying he's not going to, will Nick actually kind of stay in his own lane instead of trying to, pull the strings a little bit? That remains to be seen. But I do like the hires because they are veterans. Do I think there was better options as far as offense or defensive coordinator? Yes. I don't know how deep they went looking out for these positions because it seemed like they were hired pretty damn quickly. As soon as Vic Fangio was available, he was hired. So it's like, I don't even know if we looked at any other defensive coordinators. But offensive coordinators, I think we could have done better, but I'm not mad at the move because we've seen what he can do. He has experience of offensive coordinator. He can call plays.
So, what's good, Bird fam? Appreciate you, man. Make sure you hop on over youtube.com/that Eagles Elite Podcast so we can see you. Get that like, share, that sub. Definitely appreciate you, though. Start with Kellen Moore. I've talked to some people who were Cowboys fans. I've talked to some people who were Chargers fans. I've looked at his stuff myself, done some research. For Kellen Moore, I would say I'm not happy with the hire because of where he's come from. Coaching pedigree, where he played at. Like Diva said, they haven't really been good for us. But the main reason I don't like the hire for Kellen Moore is we're going to be looking at a new system in a year or two if we're successful.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be starting over on offense again in a couple of years, which is one of the things I do like about the Fangio hire. This man had Miami fire him so he could come to Philly, so he could be close to home. Doesn't want to go anywhere else. He's going to be good being a DC. He's not trying to be a head coach. So from that perspective, I like the Fangio hire versus the Moore hire. I do think Moore will only come with the understanding that he's going to actually run his own offense. And Nick Sirianni is going to do what he's best at, yell and raw and wear some T-shirts and tight pants. I think the organization understands that that's what he's good at. They pretty much said in the press conference he's going to manage the offense and the defense and not be hands-on. I don't think that bringing in outside people basically ensures that because they're not going to come here and have Nick Sirianni tell them what to do, and they've already seen that he's incompetent in doing so. So I think we got these guys because these are guys that are going to, and when they come from outside the organization, so they don't have a connection to Sirianni, they don't feel like they owe him anything. They don't feel like they have to, like if he says, "Oh no, we should do this," they're not going to let him override the play. They're going to be like, "Look, bro, sit down." Right. So I think that's a good piece. I think for Moore, he will run the ball. I do agree with that. We do need that. That's what we wanted. He will be a guy that also is going to air the ball out. He had Dak Prescott before, so he understands a guy that can move. He hasn't had a guy like Jalen Hurts before, so maybe he gets a little too excited about the fact that Hurts has the legs and he tries to run too much. Or maybe he says, "You know what, Jalen? We're going to use you as a traditional quarterback and allow you to go out and make plays with your legs when they're available." So we'll see if that's how he moves. If that's how he moves, this hire could end up being good. But again, it's only going to be a year or two. It's another revolving door hire, which is difficult to not do on the offensive side of the ball because these guys have good seasons. They're out. They're going to get one of these coaches getting fired. But I know this is a guy who wanted to be a head coach, so much so that he wouldn't be the interim head coach for the Chargers. They actually approached him and said, "Hey, After they fired their coach, you want to be the interim head coach? He was like, nah, I'll stay OC. Because he didn't want to taint his resume with a team with a backup quarterback. Smart man. So we'll see how that works out. For Fangio, it all goes back to what everyone's saying, bend, don't break. Right? That's what we hear all the time, bend, don't break. That's the big thing about Fangio, bend, don't break. All I hope is that as part of this, that he understands we need you to come into this organization. We need you to show these guys how to play. We need you to get a staff together that is going to help these guys develop. Because what we don't need is another season of guys not being developed, not learning, and having a guy that's going to be there and then gone in a year or two. Now, he retires and can't control that. But I feel like Fangio's a long-term hire. I feel like Fangio's the guy they said Fangio's the guy they wanted, but because they didn't know if Jonathan Gannon was going to go to the Cardinals or not because of the whole situation with the tampering, while we ended up with another draft pick last year, if he was going to be able to go be their coach or not. And since Fangio didn't want to wait and then he couldn't leave, he went to Miami instead. So Fangio wanted to be here last year. We wanted him last year. So that's why we went and got one of his disciples.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't work out. So they went and got who they wanted. So whether this works or not, we got who we wanted. We got the guy that doesn't want to give up the big plays, but he will give it the big plays between the 30s because it's part of the bend but don't break. But he likes to run that 3-4. So that's going to be a personnel change. It's going to change some duties and activities for certain people. We'll see how that works out for the personnel that we have that we should be keeping. But I believe these are both two hires that are wait and see, but they are veteran hires from outside the organization that I don't think Sirianni is going to be able to get his hands into what they're doing. And I think the organization's already said, you're not going to be doing that anymore. You had your chance to do that, and you stunk. You sucked, and you were garbage. We're not giving you the opportunity again. So that makes me at least feel halfway good about what's happening. So we'll see how it plays out. We're going to talk about the staffs here soon. We got some other stuff we're going to be bringing y'all. This is our all season. So guys, roll with us. And we're going to do some things. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. Last thing. Next week, just come back and see us, right? Don't forget to bring one or two. What we always say, two of your friends, 4 your enemies.
3 your enemies.
Because they don't like you, doesn't mean they won't like us. Diva, any last words?
Go Birds. Get ready for a new season. Get ready for this draft coming up in April. And we'll see y'all back next Wednesday.
Absolutely. Wyatt, any last thoughts?
Yeah, fly Eagles fly, go Birds. I'm ready for, free agency period and the draft coming up. It's going to be a very exciting offseason.
Absolutely. And you have witnessed episode 1, season 3, Eagles Elite Podcast. Make sure you're here next week. And with that, we're not even doing the outro this week. We're not intro, no outro. We out. We'll holler at y'all next week. Fly Eagles fly.
Fly Eagles fly.